It's always the late night streams where the most things go a bump in the night. Somehow I've lost access to the original room, but yet here we are. My Hero Academia, Season 7, Episode 15, 153. Watch party. Remember, watch along on your own devices, and let's have a fantastic time watching this episode. Let's talk about it. All right, guys. Brent here, back with you, friends. Cover all things Marvel, DC, Lord of the Rings, anime, gaming, Star Wars, and more. And once again, my apologies. The other room, for whatever reason, locked me out, even though I'm the one that created it. Technology is a blessing and a nightmare in only so many words. But I'm so happy to be here with you guys. And friendly reminder, we'll have our announcements for the 1,000 subscriber giveaway coming up in the next couple days. So be sure to stay tuned for that. See all the exciting stuff that happened in the community post. Looks like we have a couple very exciting people who put on in to potentially win some exciting stuff from us on Geek Variants. Who's to say we won't have another amazing giveaway at some other point in the future? In the meantime, let's talk about My Hero Academia Season 7. And look, so thus far, this season has been absolutely incredible. I don't know how else to really put it. The writing for this season is some of the best we've seen. The animation style has been once more exceptionally crisp. Things have been working in only so many regards, and has been an absolute blessing and a joy to be able to get to see this anime really pick up exactly where it left off. And I know as the manga has finished, much as Jujutsu Kaisen is nearing its finale, as far as the manga is concerned, a lot of happy thoughts, a lot of good feelings about the people who have read the ending. I have read the ending, I know where things go. However, at the same time, I believe with where the show itself is taking the route, I think we're going to be in absolutely fantastic hands as we continue on with this show. There's been very little to be worried about. Shigaraki has been an absolute nightmare and an absolute terror throughout this season. Our boy Bakugo is still no longer amongst the land of the living, as everyone is trying desperately to ensure that we bring him back. We have someone who is literally giving their own life and forming an actual human heart to bring him back. As well as this is going on, Deku has taken that elevation as the hero, the one true hero of this anime. And I can't believe the words coming out of my mouth because season one Deku drove me up an absolute wall. I could not stand the character. I could not fathom enjoying the character. But several seasons in, I am rooting passionately for him. The writing for him has been absolutely fantastic. More often than not, most characters that cry constantly or don't really push themselves to try and elevate to new heights, I get bored of really, really easily. Deku, on the other hand, has grown on me fantastically. His story arc has been a fantastic one. It's been of discovery and struggling to push yourself to be the absolute best you can be and to be a hero for himself and for his friends. And at this moment in time, he's fighting desperately for his boy Bakugo and to ensure the safety of everyone else around him. Much like how we saw in last week's episode, we had the continuation on of a great story from a character that most people weren't really expecting to have this moment in the sunlight, this moment where he was able to push himself to be the absolute best he could be and is fighting Splinter, who has been having an absolutely insane evolution as he has now taken on this monstrous shape. And it feels like, even though it's not physically how it would be shown, in my mind, Splinter has basically taken on the hatred that is deep and buried within himself for the fact that he was considered a heteromorph and become the very monster that society said he was just based upon his appearance. That he is now all red, hardened scales, like he's some kind of evil stegosaurus lizard monster thing. He's got an interesting look, and it seems like his IQ has absolutely taken a hit with the increase in size. But at the same time, he could just be more passionate than everyone else going on. That being said, the episode itself Episode 153, Butterfly Effect, is now up on Crunchyroll. We are watching it per usual, up off the screen because we don't own the right to the audio or the video itself. So be sure to pull on up your Crunchyroll or your Hulu because I know Hulu has also had it as well. And let's enjoy the episode together in chat. Okay. Episode 153 is up and active. 153. And I know a lot of people are experiencing a lot of interesting changes and culminations throughout anime, especially in that community, because there were a lot of sites that people were usually watching them on that have all been basically more or less ripped down. It looks like the anime industry has had a significant crackdown on illegal streaming in only so many manners. So once again, support the original IP. Let's watch on Crunchyroll. Let's watch on Hulu. Let's have a great chat enjoying episode 153, Butterfly Effect. As Splinter now has broken into the hospital. That is the most uncaring doctor I have seen ever. My man is just stone faced right up front, just not even caring about anything that's going on. He is definitely a character I would trust in surgery 1000%, as I know he's not even going to budge what's going on here. He is the new My Hero Academia in my mind. So absolutely insane to see. And last week there was so much growth in our boy. We I never thought that Shoji was going to be someone that was going to get as much shine as he was. But oh man, was Shoji doing the absolute most. So I gotta give him huge props on that. And again, season seven's opening, I don't think it's one of its best, but at the same time, I'm still quite pleased with it. Hopefully, you guys are enjoying it significantly more than I am. I'm always rooting for any and all shows to be absolutely bangers as far as the openings are concerned, and that from there things continue to only get better and better with the animation quality, with the writing. The animation quality and the writing have been peak for this season, and I'm kind of shocked that the viewership numbers for the show itself are not higher than what it originally is right now, because this series is only getting better and better and better as we get in the throes of things. I know we're nearing some of the later arcs, but at the same time, it's never not a time to start an anime, you know what I'm saying? It's like whenever you guys suggest an anime or is like, "Hey, check this out. Hey, think about this. What are your thoughts on this show?" Well, someone in chat suggested Windbreaker to me a couple weeks ago. I have went and watched the entirety of the series in one sitting because I got hooked on that series and had a fantastic time watching and assessing that show. I watched it in both English and the in Japanese. I think the Japanese voice acting is a little bit better, but at the same time, the English one for once wasn't something where it's like, oh, this is going to be a huge detriment or something that holds the show back. Because sometimes you get English dubs of the Japanese series and doesn't live up to the voice acting or writing, and things just seem a little bit off for all intents and purposes. We're still focusing right now on things going on with the Splinter who is trying to live out his childlike wonder of putting the heteromorphs on the map and being able to use Shigaraki's platform and help him get things even further along. So he's genuinely fighting for his friend, but I don't believe he's doing this for the right reason. And he has to run through one Present Mike, who the fact that he was able to get from the battlefield to the hospital faster than him and get things going on. So you got to give absolutely huge shout out to him, as Present Mike, for all intents and purposes, has been nothing more than a character who we have seen use as more of a joke character for all intents and purposes. So will President Mike be able to hold back Splinter? We shall continue to see how that plays out in only so many words. Going after Mistress Ina. Everyone else is having a significant and heinous battle. The Shoji is basically trying to hold back the wall of racism, hatred that has been building up within this universe, and for all the things that have gone exceptionally right with their society. Their treatment of heteromorphs clearly has been something of lacking and something that hasn't progressed the way that you would want it to. 'Cause now all the civilians are starting to realize more or less that, you know, going about things in this manner, in this capacity, is not going to merit them any kind of positive change. And no matter how much hatred people are spouting forward, like we just had a civilian grab an axe with his bare hands to stop it. And he grabbed it at a sharp point, which, isn't the right move. But at the same time, he showed his heart and his courage. It's like, why would we continue to do this? Why would we attack one of our own? We're not bringing about any kind of change. Being silent is unfortunate for us, but attacking our own and then trying to force a change in society, that's wild. It's not the way we want to go about things. It's not like how we should progress our agenda or thoughts. We want to be heard and we want to be respected, but at what cost? Do we want to destroy their entire society to make this happen? Like, their thoughts and feelings are entirely valid regardless of how they go about it. But which one is ultimately going to culminate with their change? So Shoji, his heart and his courage and his effect he's having on people has been astronomical. And most animes, I will say, struggle building out an ensemble cast to where you actually care about more than, say your initial like 5 or 6 strongest people. The fact that they have 10, 15, 20 something characters that are all of this caliber speaks volumes to the writer in of itself. So Shoji is able to break through to these people and show that the change they want has to start right here in the heart before you go ahead and move on with any other capacity, which is absolutely huge considering, he's a teenager. All of the main characters genuinely or generally, I should say, in this anime are just teenagers and they're bringing about a large scale and grand change in a society that ultimately you think wouldn't be here for it. Mm, mm, mm. And seeing regular heroes like apologize and be like, "Look, I didn't realize things were this bad. I didn't realize I was just like this passive with everything. I'm so sorry. Like this is my fault. Like let's go fix everybody and what's going on here." His heart overcame darkness, but will President Mike continue to have done everything he can because we still have Kurogiri out in the open then. Is Kurogiri is a very prominent character moving along with this. Splinter lost the entirety of his shells right now. He's laying down in the hospital wing on the floor. Basically, most of his scales have broken off, other than his initial ones that he had on his back. And he's like, "There's so much I need to be able to do what I wanted to do. I wanted to be Stain's vengeance." And he wanted to, in a sense, cosplay as his favorite villain and be someone of prominence that people can respect. But currently, he's getting his butt whooped and the error of his ways shown strongly in front of him. So we'll see how he's able to respond to President Mike making that move. And I gotta say, I absolutely loved seeing Stain on screen in any capacity. He definitely challenged the entire norm of this society, and I didn't think they were gonna touch upon the vanity that would be present, but it was a very self-aware author in order to challenge their own verse, be like, "Yeah, these heroes are rich, they're powerful, they're cool, but also they're arrogant, they're vain, they're doing everything for the money. They're not necessarily trying to do things for the right reasons." Then we had people like, Endeavor who was going about things in, well, let's just say a less than glowing way. And then it was basically All Might and a few select others generally trying to be the best that they could be. Will Spinner make the move? It is also interesting that Spinner bonded with Shigaraki through video games. Shigaraki and video games, which is wild. Mhm. And Spinner is like going to try and activate Kurogiri, make him come on back, see how things are panning out. President Mike is screaming at him as Spinner was able to make the episode 15 is in fact up. It is up and active. At 153 is episode 15, if I'm keeping the track correctly, which I believe so. So it is off the camera, as we do not own the rights for the audio or the video. So go ahead and support the original AAP on Crunchyroll and on Hulu in some sort of areas. Because Kurogiri has been awoken and is causing some havoc as we are halfway through the media. And no problem, no problem. Hope you have a great night, Prince Medinas, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. If I didn't, my apologies. My apologies. It is about 3 a.m. my time, and I do not want to be out here messing up people's names on stream. And then people are talking now. Basically, they took a break. They went off to the news media, and they went off and they were like, "Hey, Nigerian and Italian name. That's awesome. That is absolutely awesome. Very diverse background. Super cool. That is very cool. The It's interesting that people in they're talking about how human society is going on and how they're evolving with things, considering their current plight as. uh, mm, Wow, this woman is from the U.S. of all places. This is one of the few animes where like you see the United States, like, actively painted as a hero. I am watching on Crunchyroll currently. M Crunchyroll is the app for me on this one. Hulu was normally faster when the season first started, but Crunchyroll has sped up significantly, and I do not get the ads on Crunchyroll that I would on Hulu because I have the cheaper version of Hulu. It does cost money. It does cost money, and I'm willing to pay that price to hang out and watch with you, the viewers. Because we're so now transferring back to Camino, where we have our boy Dobby hitting his next level because he's extra passionate about what's going on, and he needs to be able to ensure what the heck his ambitions are going to be and come to pass in Camino. Which is interesting. They named a couple cities in My Hero after things in Star Wars. So that for me is pretty awesome as well. Mhm. And Tubby's like, I don't have time for you. He's like, I'm gonna go do what I need to get done. Yeah. Yep, Kirigiri has appeared. He caused everything to break off the exact way they wanted to. Yeah. Monoma's out here struggling because now it's starting to rain in the sphere. because they accidentally opened up everything going on. Mm. It's still Bakugo laying down on the ground, completely dead. Monoma is doing the absolute darndest he can to ensure that the victory happens for the heroes. And things went from bad to worse as Spinner was able to make his plans come to an absolute. What is absolute? Absolute fruition and be able to get the portals opened up. The micro device in Shimura's hand is what we have going on. Now Kirigiri is once more back and active as Dobby is now able to pop up and see his father, who's missing a hand and not in a state to be going on with anything at all. And then Twice is now once more active. Ugh, this is dark. Mm. Things have gotten bad for everyone in any and all service. Twice and Dobby get transferred on over to the battlefield with Endeavor is wild. Because in a word, Hawks now has to face the person who he took out in no uncertain terms. He was able to go ahead and end Twice, which was dark. But again, Hawks isn't necessarily above that. In the battle with our basically our girl faction, because we have Froppy, we have um oh my goodness, Uravity. Every time I see her, I almost forget her name. Uravity and our villains just doing absolute battle. This Toga is going to activate her powers. Um, watching from your commentary, yeah, that's one way of doing things. And then you have Toga just absolutely wrecking shop, like unlocking new powers and trying to ensure that she's able to ensure her goals and her ideals are coming to fruition. She is not, and I repeat, not going to let the heroes continue to just have a world that she doesn't have an ultimate say in. She's seeing that there is a losing battle, which will ultimately trigger some intense emotions for her, to where she's able to get things to play out in her favor. And she has enough blood to be able to turn the tables on everybody and be able to fix the world to where she wants it to be. In essence, it's like her basically hitting her overdrive or her ultra instinct, but obviously it is not in a way that we as fans of the heroes would be rooting for, even though I think the villains in the show are exceptionally well written. Himiko Toga making the moves. Because originally she was just someone who was basically a sadist and wanted the suffering for all. But as things have continued to progress, she's evolved, had her moments where she's absolutely in love with Deku. She wants to avenge Twice and elevate herself to a place where, like Gabi has, where it's just a singular focus on the success of themselves and the mission. But Froppy is not a fan of it, shooting down the fake blood that is out there, which instead attracts the Nomu. Hook, line, and sinker. Mm-mm. Yep, not good. Rappi versus Nomu versus Toga. Istoga has decided to use this moment to basically shadow clone herself using Twice's move and now accelerate her plan. And with Kuragiri arriving at the exact wrong place and time, that the villains are able to go wild. Because her vengeance with Hawks is Hawks literally right in the back of Twice. So the heroes have, beyond a shadow of doubt, failed in their containment. And now the area that our villains are making their moves and progressing in the absolute worst manner. And then Togo's like, I wish I could have talked with you, Ochaku, but no, we're not going to talk about romance right now to kind of like get to know and understand ourselves. But instead, now we have an army of Twices, their version of Deadpool, arriving and just scaring the garbage out of Hawks because he's living through the PTSD of, I did this, I ended this. I'm supposed to be a good guy, the hero, but things aren't really going at all in the manner in which I wanted to. Level Chaku. That's a cool looking shot because basically she's created infinite doubles to the point there is now an army, not just like a little bit, a little section or a platoon. There was an army of Twices, and that's definitely not what you want to have happen. But the only good news that we were able to be aware of is that Krapi and Ochaku jumped through the portal, and next episode, because this is the end of the episode, we will have Shigaraki and our boy Deku finally having it out to some sort of culmination in an episode called Sad Man's Death Paradise, which I gotta say, absolutely insane name. Not exactly what you wanted to have happen in any way, shape, or form. It was another fantastic episode from My Hero Academia. Next week's episode is going to be significantly, and I mean significantly, more action because, in the grand scheme of things, like President Mike used his quirk, thought he knocked out Spinner, didn't. Spinner's able to grab one of Shigaraki's hand devices that were on the ground, slap it on Kurogiri's face, who reactivated, reawoke the darkness within himself, and then opened up all these portals for Dabi and Toga to now appear on the battlefield with all for one and Endeavor and Hawks and basically change the entire landscape of that battle in no uncertain terms. And with the rest of our heroes basically in shambles or busy or preoccupied. Right now, Deku's basically gonna have to pull extra heavy lifting because he has to carry them in that battle while Monoma is struggling with the fact that it is now raining and he has to keep his eyes stuck open in order to make sure that Shigaraki's Quirk of Decay doesn't activate because, if Decay activates and you're in a giant floating sky prison, eventually the ground's going to go and then it's just, you know, X number of feet to the ground, and basically you'll have time to calculate where you will splat, and that will be that. You'll basically hope you are a hero who has some kind of ability to soften your blow or fly, maybe teleportation, but that's it. It is not an ideal situation. It is not the best setup for everything that they have going on. So next week's episode is going to be an insane battle. Love what we have going on here. Every time I think this anime cannot top itself or even project itself to be better than what it was last week, it continues to surprise me. Thanks so much for hanging out in the chat, each and every one of you. Just a friendly reminder, we do this each and every week for My Hero Academia. We also have Kite Man going on. We have Suicide Squad Isekai review coming in shortly as well. We cover Rings of Power, and soon we'll be covering the Penguin and on top of the Penguin, Agatha, all along in the future. Be sure to hit that lovely red subscribe button if you are not subscribed to the channel and really, really love the content. Otherwise, it's been an absolute pleasure hanging out with all of you. I hope you guys have a great rest of your night or morning, depending on what area of the world you're in. And I'm Brent for Geek Variants, and I'll see you in the next episode.